I've been invisible for 8 months. That's the truth of working in a house like Marco Moretti's. You learn to move through rooms like smoke, present but unnoticed. My hands dust marble surfaces that gleam under crystal chandeliers I could never afford. Polish Italian leather furniture softer than anything I've ever touched. And arrange orchids in vases that cost more than my monthly rent. The mansion sprawls across 4 floors of Manhattan power. All pristine white marble and dark mahogany and floor-to-ceiling windows that overlook a city I can barely afford to breathe in. Marco Moretti himself is a presence I've learned to predict. I hear his footsteps in the hall, deliberate, unhurried, and know to be gone before he rounds the corner. I catch glimpses of him through doorways, dark hair styled with casual precision, that dark red blazer he wears like armor, and eyes hidden behind sunglasses even indoors. Eyes I've never actually seen. He holds meetings in his library with men who speak in hushed tones and leave through private exits. I clean up after them, empty glasses still smelling of aged scotch, straightened leather chairs still warm from their bodies. The gold chain at his throat catches light as he moves past. I don't ask questions. That's not my job. My job is to disappear. The irony isn't lost on me. I'm invisible in a world of visible wealth, surrounded by luxury I'll never touch outside these walls. Every surface I clean, every room I perfect, is a reminder of the $47,000 crushing me. Memorial Sloan, Kettering, doesn't care that the chemo didn't save my mother. They just want their money. So I show up. I polish. I fade into the wallpaper. I take my $3,200 a month and watch it disappear into a debt that feels infinite. The only constant in this carefully ordered existence is Brittany. My sister works in the kitchen, 23 years old, with our mother's warm smile and none of my careful caution. She makes breakfasts that smell like home and talks to the security guards like they're old friends. She doesn't understand why I keep my head down, why I've perfected the art of being nobody. But she's never seen what I've seen. The way Marco's voice drops to something lethal when he's displeased. The way men twice his size defer to him with barely concealed fear. The way his world operates on rules I don't understand but know better than to break. So I stay invisible. I do my job. I avoid eye contact. I exist in the margins of Marco Moretti's empire, exactly where I need to be. Safe. Unnoticed. Forgotten. Tonight, that's about to change. Tonight, I learned that being invisible in Marco Moretti's world is the most dangerous thing you can be. Because when someone finally sees you, when he finally sees you, the entire city holds its breath. 3 blocks. That's all that stands between me and the subway when Brittany's phone rings at 11:47 p.m. "It's my sister," she mouths, already grabbing her coat. "Emergency." She's out the service entrance before I can offer to wait, her sneakers squeaking against the wet pavement. I should leave right behind her. I know this, but there's a wine glass in the library with a lipstick print I didn't catch earlier, and the thought of Marco seeing it tomorrow morning, of him noticing something I missed, makes my stomach twist. 2 minutes. I duck back inside. When I finally step onto East 67th Street, the rain has turned everything slick and black. The streetlights reflect in puddles like scattered coins. My uniform, the crisp white blouse with the embroidered crest, the black pencil skirt, is soaked through before I reach the corner. I should have changed. I should have run to catch up with Brittany. The alley appears between 2 buildings like a mouth opening. I don't see them until I'm already past, until hands grab my arms and yank me sideways into the dark. Don't scream. The voice is accented, rough. We're not here to rob you. My purse hits the ground. I try to twist away, but there are 2 of them, both bigger than me, both smelling of cigarettes and something sharper. One of them turns me toward the streetlight, studying my uniform like he's reading a label. "You work for Moretti." It's not a question. His fingers dig into my jaw, forcing my face toward the light so his partner can see. The embroidered crest on my blouse. The expensive fabric that marks me as house staff, not restaurant help. They know exactly where I work, exactly who signs my paychecks. The understanding crashes through me a second before the first punch lands. This isn't random. I'm not unlucky. I'm a message. The second man's fist catches my ribs, and something inside my chest cracks with a sound I feel more than hear. I can't breathe, can't scream, can only fold around the pain as they work with the methodical efficiency of men who've done this before. Not rage. Calculation. Each hit precisely placed. Tell your boss, one of them says, breath hot against my ear as I crumple. We're done being invisible. Then they're gone, melting back into the city like they were never there at all. I don't know how long I lie there. Rain dilutes the blood in my mouth, turns the alley into a dark river. Every breath feels like swallowing glass. I should call someone. I should call 911. But all I can think about is the hospital bill, the $5,000 emergency room charge, the CT scan, the x-rays. I already owe $47,000 I'll never pay off. I can't add more. I won't. The crawl home happens in fragments. Hands and knees on wet pavement. A woman's voice asking if I'm okay. Me nodding, waving her away, using walls to pull myself upright. 3 blocks to the subway. 12 stops to the Bronx. Every jostle of the train a fresh agony in my ribs. Another 2 blocks to my apartment, climbing stairs that feel like mountains. In my bathroom mirror, I barely recognize myself. Split lip, bruise blooming dark purple across my cheekbone. Finger-shaped marks on my jaw where he held me in the light to identify me, to make sure they had the right symbol. I press my fingers against my side, feeling where the rib gave way, and think about the stack of bills on my kitchen counter. Memorial Sloan Kettering. $47,000 for 8 months of chemotherapy that bought my mother nothing but pain. Bills I chip away at with $200 payments that barely touch the interest. I can't go to the hospital. I can't afford to be hurt. So I wrap my ribs with an old AC bandage, take 4 Advil, and lie on my bed fully clothed because undressing hurts too much. Tomorrow I'll cover the bruises with makeup. Tomorrow I'll show up at the mansion and clean Marco Moretti's floors and pretend I fell on the subway stairs. Tomorrow I'll keep being invisible. But tonight, staring at the water-stained ceiling of my studio apartment, I finally understand the cost. You can make yourself so small that no one sees you as human anymore. Just a uniform, just a message, just something that can be broken to prove a point to a man who doesn't even know your name. I use 3 shades of concealer and still can't hide the bruise on my cheekbone. Foundation cakes in the split on my lip. My reflection looks like someone playing dress-up as a functional human being, but I'm out of sick days and rent is due in 5 days, and the ACE bandage around my ribs is the only thing holding me together. The mansion is quiet when I arrive at 6 a.m. I move through my routine on autopilot, coffee brewing, newspapers arranged, fresh flowers in the entryway. Each movement pulls at something broken inside me. I'm polishing the desk in Marco's office when I hear footsteps behind me. What happened to your face? I don't turn around. Don't stop polishing. I fell on the subway stairs. It's nothing. Look at me. The command in his voice makes my hands still. I've worked here for 8 months, and Marco Moretti has never spoken directly to me. Never asked me anything. I've been furniture, wallpaper, something that exists in the margins of his world. I turn slowly. He's standing in the doorway, wearing a dark red blazer over a crisp white shirt, gold chain visible at his throat catching the morning light. His dark sunglasses hide his eyes, but his jaw is tight, his posture predatory. I fell. I repeat, the lie bitter on my split lip. He crosses the room in 3 strides. You fell. His voice is flat, disbelieving. And I suppose you also fell into someone's fist? Multiple times. My hand moves instinctively to my ribs. The gesture gives me away. He reaches up and removes his sunglasses. It's the first time I've seen his eyes. Dark, intense, missing nothing. They move across my face like he's reading evidence, cataloging every bruise, every defensive wound. When his gaze drops to my jaw, something shifts in his expression. Those are finger marks, he says quietly. Someone held you while someone else hit you. I can't breathe. Can't lie anymore. Can't keep pretending this is something I can handle alone. Claire. My name in his mouth stops time. He's never used it before. Never acknowledged that I have one. Who did this to you? The gentleness in his voice breaks something inside me. Tears blur my vision. I don't know their names. My voice cracks. They saw my uniform. Said I work for you. Said it was a message. His jaw tightens, a muscle jumping beneath the skin. His hand comes to rest on my shoulder, unexpectedly gentle, like he's afraid I might shatter. When? Last night, after my shift. And you came back to work. It's not a question. He's already understanding the desperation that drove me here, broken ribs and all. You came back because you can't afford not to? I nod, unable to speak. He pulls out his phone with his free hand, never breaking eye contact. Franco. My office. Now. A pause. Find out who touched her. I want names by noon. He ends the call, slides the phone back into his pocket. His hand is still on my shoulder, anchoring me. You work in my home, he says, his voice shifting from cold authority to something I can't name. You're part of it whether you realize it or not. And no one, his grip tightens slightly, protective rather than possessive. No one touches my people without answering for it. I've been invisible for 8 months. But standing here in Marco Moretti's office, his hand on my shoulder, his eyes finally seeing me, really seeing me, I understand that everything has changed. I'm no longer invisible. I'm his responsibility. And from the look in his eyes, that means something far more dangerous than I could have imagined. The guest room on the 3rd floor has better sheets than anything I've ever owned. Marco installed me here like I'm visiting royalty, not the woman who scrubs his toilets. You're not working, he said, his hand gentle on my uninjured shoulder. You're recovering. I should feel grateful. I should feel safe. Instead, I lie awake at 11:47 p.m., exactly 24 hours since the attack, listening to the mansion settle around me. Voices drift up from downstairs. Marco's, cold and clipped. Franco's, quieter, confirming something. I shouldn't go downstairs. I know this. But my feet carry me anyway, drawn by something I don't want to name. The library door is cracked open, spilling light into the dark hallway. Through the gap, I see them. 2 men on their knees, hands zip-tied behind their backs. I recognize them instantly, the accented voice, the chemical smell, the methodical efficiency of their fists. My attackers, delivered like packages to Marco's library. Marco stands in front of them wearing his dark red blazer, gold chain catching the light from the desk lamp. His sunglasses are off, tucked in his pocket. His face is terrifyingly calm, the kind of calm that precedes violence. Franco leans against the desk, tablet in hand. Security footage from 3 blocks out. Same route she takes every night. He turns the screen toward Marco. Darren Cole. Albanian crew. They knew exactly what they were doing. Marco studies the footage. I can see it from here, grainy video of me being dragged into the alley. My stomach twists. They waited for her, Franco continues. Watched the house. Knew when her shift ended. Marco's jaw tightens. He crouches in front of the first man, the one who held my face to the light. When he speaks, his voice is barely above a whisper, intimate and lethal all at once. Who hurt you? The man's eyes widen in confusion. Marco gestures to the tablet, to the frozen image of me crumpling under their fists. Her. Who hurt her? Was it you? He shifts his gaze to the second man. Or you? Both. Franco supplies coldly. Darren did the ribs. His partner, Victor, handled the face. Marco stands slowly. He slides his hands into his pockets, that terrible calm still etched across his features. You used her to send me a message. You broke her bones because she cleans my floors. He tilts his head slightly. So here's my message back. By sunrise, you won't exist. Not in prison. Not in hiding. Not anywhere. Darren starts to speak. Marco cuts him off with a gesture, pulling out his phone. Franco, make it clean. I don't want her seeing anything in the news. I should feel horror. I should feel sick. I should turn away from this display of calculated violence, this man condemning 2 others to death with the same calm he uses to order coffee. Instead, I feel hollow satisfaction settle into my broken ribs. They hurt me, because I was invisible, because I was convenient, because my pain meant nothing compared to the message they wanted to send. And now Marco is erasing them from existence with the same cold efficiency they used on me. I slip back to my room before anyone sees me. Through the window, dawn is breaking over Manhattan, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. Somewhere below, Marco's men are cleaning up a problem, making 2 men disappear. By sunrise, word will spread through the underworld. Marco Moretti is hunting. Every man who touched his maid, who thought she was too invisible to matter, is praying it wasn't him. I should feel guilty. I don't. I press my hand to my ribs where they fractured me, and I feel avenged. Dr. Caruso has kind eyes and cold hands. He presses carefully against my ribs while Marco stands by the window, arms crossed, watching like he's memorizing every wince I make. Fractured rib, Dr. Caruso confirms. Clean break, should heal fine. 6 weeks, no heavy lifting. I'll write a prescription for the pain. I can't. I start thinking of the copay, the prescription cost, the bill that will arrive in 30 days. Already handled, Marco says without turning around. His reflection in the window shows that terrifyingly calm expression I'm learning to recognize. The one that means arguing is pointless. Dr. Caruso packs his medical bag, accepts an envelope from Marco that's clearly more than the going rate for a house call, and leaves us alone. Dawn is breaking over the terrace, painting the city in shades of gold. Marco brings coffee, mine made exactly right, 2 sugars, splash of cream. I don't remember ever telling him how I take it. He's removed his dark red blazer, draped it over my shoulders against the morning chill. The silk lining still holds his warmth. His sunglasses are pushed up on his head for once, letting me see those dark, calculating eyes. We should talk about responsibility, he says, settling into the chair across from me. I wrap my hands around the coffee mug. I'll pay you back for the doctor. That's not what I meant. He studies me like he studied the security footage last night, carefully, cataloging details. You fold the newspapers by section before you put them on my desk. International first, then business, then local. You water the orchids every Tuesday at 6 a.m. because that's when the light is right. You never complain, even when Franco's men leave cigarette ash on surfaces you just cleaned. My breath catches. You notice that? I notice everything in my world, Claire. His voice is soft, almost gentle. And you're part of it. You have been for 8 months, even if I never said your name before yesterday. The weight of being seen, truly seen, settles over me like his blazer, warm and heavy. I don't understand. You work yourself sick because you're drowning in medical debt. $47,000 to Memorial Sloan Kettering for your mother's cancer treatment. He says it matter-of-factly, like he's discussing the weather. Like he hasn't just revealed, he knows my deepest shame. How did you? I told you. I notice everything. He leans forward, elbows on his knees. You inherited her debt when she died. You pay $200 a month that barely touches the interest. You take extra shifts when Brittany calls in sick. You skip lunch to save $7. He pauses. You deserve better than survival. Tears burn behind my eyes. I can handle it. You shouldn't have to. He pulls a card from his pocket, slides it across the table. His personal cell, the number embossed in silver. My direct line. Not the house phone. Not through Franco. Me. I stare at the card like it might bite. Why? Because you got hurt working in my house. Because those men used you to send me a message, and that makes your pain my responsibility. His eyes hold mine, unflinching. Because I've watched you fold newspapers for 8 months and I never once asked your name, and that was unforgivable. The sun breaks over the skyline, flooding the terrace with light. Marco's gold chain catches it, throwing small prisms across the table between us. His blazer weighs heavy on my shoulders, a symbol, I'm realizing, of something shifting. Something changing from employer and employee to something I don't have words for yet. 6 weeks to heal, he says quietly. Let me handle the things you can't, including the debt that's been drowning you. I should argue, should insist on my independence. But sitting here at dawn with his blazer around my shoulders and his eyes finally seeing me, I find I don't have the strength to refuse protection anymore. Okay, I whisper. His small smile feels like sunrise. I return to work on Monday despite Dr. Caruso's orders, because sitting in the guest room feels like waiting for permission to exist. Marco doesn't argue. He just watches me move through the mansion like I'm made of glass, appearing in doorways to ask if I've eaten, adjusting pillows on the couch before I sit, bringing coffee made exactly right without being asked. He's never like this, Brittany whispers on Wednesday, her eyes wide as Marco crosses the kitchen to refill my water glass himself. In 3 years, I've never seen him notice any of us. But he notices me. Constantly. His attention feels like sunlight after years in shadow, warm and overwhelming and impossible to hide from. Franco corners me Thursday afternoon in the hallway. You're his weakness now, he says quietly, not unkindly. That makes you valuable. It also makes you a target. He studies my fading bruises. Be careful, Claire. With him. With all of this. By Thursday night, exactly 1 week since the attack, I'm in the library organizing his grandfather's Italian poetry collection. Petrarch and Dante, leather-bound and delicate, smelling of age and tobacco. I'm alphabetizing them by author when I hear footsteps behind me. You don't have to do that. Marco's voice is soft. You're supposed to be resting. I turn. He's standing in the doorway without his sunglasses, his dark red blazer discarded over the chair, white shirt sleeves rolled to his elbows. The gold chain at his throat catches the lamplight. He looks less like the man who condemned my attackers to death, and more like someone who might read poetry at 11 p.m. I like organizing things, I admit. It makes sense when nothing else does. He crosses the room slowly, deliberately, giving me time to move away if I want to. I don't. He stops close enough that I can smell his cologne, something expensive and cedar dark. I can't stop thinking about you, he says quietly. His hand comes up to cup my unbruised cheek, his thumb brushing careful beneath the fading yellow-green mark. Ever since I saw you in my office with those bruises, trying to pretend you were fine. I can't stop thinking about you. My breath catches. I can't stop thinking about you either. The admission hangs between us like a lit match. His eyes search mine, asking permission for something we both know will change everything. I nod, barely, just a breath of movement, and he leans down to kiss me. His mouth is gentle against mine, mindful of my healing lip. One hand stays on my face while the other finds my waist, carefully avoiding my ribs. The kiss tastes like the coffee he made me this morning, like the protection he's wrapped around me since he learned my name. Like something inevitable finally arriving. I grip his shirt, pulling him closer despite the twinge in my side. He makes a low sound in his throat, deepening the kiss, pressing me back against the bookshelf. Petrarch and Dante bear witness to something crossing from protection into desire, from employer and employee into something with no safe name. His phone vibrates in his pocket. Once, twice, insistent. He breaks the kiss with a curse, pressing his forehead to mine. I have to business. I'm sorry. I know. I touch his face, this man who removed all his armor to stand here with me. Go. He kisses me once more, quick and promising. This conversation isn't over, Claire. I watch him grab his blazer, slide his sunglasses on, transform back into Marco Moretti, who makes men disappear by sunrise. But I've seen what's underneath now, and there's no going back from that. The dark V-neck dress Marco sent to my room fits perfectly. I study myself in the mirror, bruises fading to yellow-green on my cheekbone, the split on my lip nearly healed. 2 weeks since the attack. I look almost normal. Almost. You don't have to do this, Marco says from my doorway. He's wearing his dark red blazer, gold chain prominent at his throat, sunglasses on despite being indoors. Full armor. I can handle Krasniki alone. I want to be there. I turn to face him. They used me to send you a message. I want them to see what that message cost. Something shifts in his expression behind those dark lenses. Pride, maybe. Or concern. Then stay close to me. The restaurant is expensive and empty. Krasniki rented it out for privacy. He's older than I expected, gray at the temples, wearing a suit that costs more than my annual salary. His eyes flick to my fading bruises, then to Marco's hand at the small of my back. Mr. Moretti. And this must be Claire. Kresnicki's accent is thicker than his men's was. Please sit. We sit. Marco keeps his sunglasses on, a deliberate insult in the dim lighting. I'm being presented as something more than staff. More than the woman who cleans floors. I'm his weakness made visible, displayed to an enemy as a declaration. I want to apologize, Kresnicki says, gesturing to a briefcase his man places on the table. $50,000. Compensation for, he pauses delicately, the misunderstanding. Misunderstanding. Marco's voice could cut glass. He reaches up slowly, deliberately, and removes his sunglasses. His eyes lock on Kresnicki's. Your men broke her rib, held her face to verify she worked for me before they beat her unconscious in an alley. That's not a misunderstanding. That's a declaration of war. Kresnicki shifts uncomfortably. The men responsible have been dealt with. By me. Marco leans forward. I don't want your money, Kresnicki. I want respect. No one touches my people. Not to send messages. Not for any reason. Claire isn't just protected. She matters. Do you understand the difference? The silence stretches taut. Finally, Kresnicki nods. I understand. Good. Marco stands, pulling me up with him. Then we're done here. In the car, his hand finds mine. Move into the mansion permanently. Let me assign you security. Let me. No. The word comes out sharper than I intend. Marco, I appreciate everything you've done. But I won't be caged, even in gold. His jaw tightens. Someone could hurt you again. Someone could hurt me regardless. That's the world we live in. I squeeze his hand. I'm choosing this. Choosing you. But I need to choose it, not have you make every decision for me out of fear. He's quiet for a long moment. Then, what do you need? Time. Space. My apartment 3 nights a week. The ability to take the subway without a security detail. I meet his eyes. Trust that I can take care of myself, even if I also need you. That terrifies me. I know. I touch his face. But I won't be another thing you own, Marco. I won't be property. He exhales slowly. Okay. We compromise. That night, he doesn't send me to the guest room. He takes my hand and leads me to his bedroom, the one place in the mansion I've never cleaned. He removes his blazer, his sunglasses, his gold chain. Stands before me without armor, just Marco in a white t-shirt and vulnerability. Stay, he says softly. Not as staff. Not as someone I'm protecting. Just stay. I do. And when I fall asleep in his bed, his arm careful around my healing ribs, I finally understand what it means to be seen and still choose to stay. 6 weeks pass in stolen moments. Marco's hand finding mine under the breakfast table. His mouth on my neck in the empty library at midnight. Me falling asleep in his bed 3 nights a week, waking up in my Bronx apartment the other 4. Building something real in the spaces between his business and my healing. Dr. Caruso clears me on a Tuesday morning. Fully healed, he announces, pressing where my rib fractured without making me wince. You're good as new. Marco is waiting when the doctor leaves, leaning against the terrace railing in his dark red blazer, gold chain catching the morning sun. I have a proposal, he says, pulling an envelope from his pocket. Personal assistant position. You'd handle my schedule, correspondence, things that require discretion. Triple your current salary. I stare at the contract. Marco, you don't have to. I need someone I trust. Someone who sees the real work, not just the surface. He hands me a pen. And I'm tired of pretending you're just staff when everyone in this house knows you're more. I sign. My hand only shakes a little. The first paycheck arrives Thursday. I open it in the kitchen while Brittany makes coffee, and my breath catches. The salary is there, $9,600 a month, more money than I've ever seen. But there's a signing bonus line that makes my vision blur. $47,000. Exactly what I owe Memorial Sloan Kettering. Down to the dollar. Claire! Brittany's voice sounds far away. What's wrong? I can't speak. Can't breathe. The number swims on the paper. 2 years of $200 payments that barely touch the interest. 2 years of drowning. 2 years of showing up to work with broken ribs because I couldn't afford not to. Gone. Erased. Paid. I'm crying before I realize it. Great gasping sobs that shake my whole body. Brittany pulls me into her arms and holds me while I break apart with relief. 20 minutes pass before I can speak. He paid it. I whisper into her shoulder. My mother's medical debt. He paid all of it. Of course he did, she says softly. He's been in love with you since you walked into his office with bruises you tried to hide. That evening, Franco finds me in the library. Kresnicki's dead, he says without preamble. Internal war. Took out half his organization. Queen's territory is wide open if we want it. Does Marco know? He knows. Franco studies me carefully. He's not taking it. Says he'd rather have what he can protect than grasp for everything he might lose. A pause. He's choosing sustainability over empire. That's not like him. What is he choosing? Franco's small smile is knowing. I think you know. I find Marco on the terrace at sunset. He's wearing his red blazer, impeccable as always, but his sunglasses are in his hand, held not worn. A deliberate choice. When he sees me, something in his expression softens. You paid my debt. It's not a question. I did. No apology, no justification. Just fact. Marco, that's 2 years of your life you'll never get back. 2 years of drowning for a mother you couldn't save. He steps closer, tucking the sunglasses into his pocket. I can't give you those years back, Claire. But I can give you the future without that weight. I launch myself at him, careful of his expensive blazer, not careful enough. His arms wrap around me, solid and sure. Thank you, I whisper against his chest, feeling his heartbeat steady under expensive fabric and old gold. For seeing me. For all of it. His hand finds my hair. I'd choose you over empires, he says quietly. Every single time. My life finds a rhythm over the next few weeks. 3 nights at the mansion in Marco's bed, his arm around my waist, falling asleep to the sound of his breathing. 4 nights in my Bronx apartment, maintaining the independence I fought for. It shouldn't work, this split existence. But somehow it does. The underworld notices. I see it in the way people look at me when I accompany Marco to meetings. This woman who appeared from nowhere and changed everything. Franco mentions it one afternoon while reviewing Marco's schedule. They're talking about you, he says, not unkindly. Saying you've made him soft. That he's refusing opportunities because of you. Is that true? Franco considers this. He turned down 3 expansion opportunities this month. Brooklyn waterfront, 2 import contracts, and the Queen's territory after Kresnicki's death. He meets my eyes. The old Marco would have taken all of it, would have built his empire higher no matter the cost. I find Marco in his office that evening. He's at his desk, red blazer discarded over the chair, reviewing contracts he'll probably refuse. When I ask him about it, he doesn't look up immediately. I'm tired of building empires at the expense of having a life, he says finally, setting down his pen. 4 years it was just duty. Territory to protect, businesses to expand, power to maintain. Then you walked in wearing bruises you tried to hide from me, and suddenly the city looked different. Different how? Like something I wanted to live in, not just control. He stands, crossing to where I'm standing by the window. You made me see the difference between having everything and having what matters. Over Thai takeout with Brittany that Thursday, I admit what I've been feeling. I feel safer than I have in years. She pauses mid-bite. With a Mafia boss. I know how it sounds. I push pad thai around my container. But for the first time since Mom died, I'm not drowning. I'm not just surviving. I'm actually living. Brittany reaches across to squeeze my hand. Then I'm happy for you. Even if it scares me. Even if his world is dangerous. She smiles. You deserve someone who sees you the way he does. That night, Marco finds me on the terrace at 5 a.m. I couldn't sleep. So I came here to watch the city wake up. He appears beside me carrying his red blazer, draping it over both our shoulders like a shared blanket. Can't sleep either? I ask. Didn't want to. He pulls me against his side. I wanted to show you this. We watch the dawn break over Manhattan together, the sky shifting from black to navy to pink to gold. The city sprawling beneath us, vast and violent and beautiful. His city, the one he's choosing to live in rather than just rule. 4 years, this view was about territory, he says quietly, counting what I controlled, planning what to take next. But now when I look at it, I just think about coffee on the terrace with you. About coming home to someone who knows the worst things I've done and stays anyway. I turn in his arms, the blazer slipping off one shoulder. I trust you completely. You know that, right? His hand comes up to cup my face, thumb brushing my cheekbone where the bruises have finally faded entirely. I know, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving you're right too. The sun breaks over the skyline, flooding everything with light. Below us, the city begins its morning chaos. But up here, wrapped in Marco's blazer with his arms around me, I finally understand what it means to choose love over fear, intimacy over independence, trust over self-preservation. I've stopped surviving. I'm living. I wake before dawn in Marco's bed, his arm heavy across my waist. Through the window, the city is still dark, holding its breath before sunrise. He stirs when I move, his eyes finding mine in the pre-dawn light. Come with me, he says softly. I want to show you something. He leads me to the terrace, the same one where we had coffee after Dr. Caruso's first visit, where I learned he'd been watching me all along. The air is cool and clean, promising a clear morning. Marco is dressed simply. White shirt, no blazer, no sunglasses. Just the gold chain at his throat, the one that means family legacy, permanence, choosing what matters. Do you regret it? He asks as we stand at the railing. How we started? Violence and trauma, and me dragging you into my world. I consider the question, watching the sky shift from black to navy. No. The word comes out clear, certain. Everything terrible led to this. We're built on danger, but sustained by choice. I chose to stay. You chose to see me. That matters more than how it started. He turns to face me, his hand finding the spot on my ribs where they fractured me 2 months ago. His palm is warm through my thin shirt, resting over the bone that's healed completely. I'll protect what's mine, he says quietly. Always. Then he kisses me, not the careful, gentle kisses of those first weeks when I was still healing, but something deeper. A promise, a claim, a declaration that I'm not just protected, I'm cherished. When we break apart, the first edge of sun is cresting the horizon. The city below us begins to glow, golden lights spilling across buildings and streets, touching everything Marco once saw as territory and now sees as home. I love you, he says, and it's the first time he said it out loud, though I felt it in every coffee made exactly right, every debt paid, every moment he removed his armor to stand vulnerable before me. I love you too. The words feel like sunrise, inevitable, transforming, flooding everything with new light. I realize, standing here with his arms around me and the city waking below, that I've stopped surviving. The medical debt that defined me for 2 years is gone. My body is healed, ribs whole, bruises faded to memory. And I found something I thought was impossible, a man who sees me completely, not as invisible staff, not as a weakness to exploit, but as someone essential. Ready to face the day? Marco asks, his voice soft against my hair. With you always. Below us, Franco is probably already receiving reports. The underworld already knows what happened here over the past 2 months. They watched Marco Moretti turn down empire for a woman who used to clean his floors. They saw him choose sustainability over endless expansion. They learned that Claire isn't just his weakness. She's his reason for everything. The sun breaks fully over the skyline, the same sunrise that lit the city the morning after Marco condemned my attackers to death. That dawn marked the beginning of his hunt, his protection, his claim. This dawn marks something different, transformation complete. From invisible to essential. From surviving to living. From employer and employee to two people choosing each other despite the danger, because of the danger, sustained by the choice itself. Marco pulls me closer, and I press my hand over his where it rests against my healed ribs. 8 months ago, I was invisible in his mansion. 2 months ago, I was broken in an alley, collateral damage in a war I didn't understand. Now I'm standing in the sunrise, loved completely by a man who sees me, choosing him as deliberately as he chose me. By sunrise, everything has changed, and I wouldn't change any of it back.